If you've ever snapped at your partner because you couldn't find something, felt overwhelmed by your own space, or wished your home felt more like a sanctuary and less like a battleground, this episode is for you. Welcome to Clarity and Order, the Carrie Kaufman way. Let's welcome my guest, Aimee Wood. Aimee, thank you for coming on Clarity and Order today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Would you please, for our listeners, go ahead and share who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Aimee Wood. I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I'm also an individual and couples therapist with my own private practice right here in Wayne. I specialize in maternal mental health, relationships, and sex therapy. I've been doing this for over 15 years, and I like to say that I combine evidence-based approaches with real-life insight to support my individuals, my couples.
All right, let's begin. As a professional organizer, I am in my clients' homes every day, and I see their strengths, I see their struggles, I hear and see things that are overwhelming them each and every day. You, as a therapist, have them in your office sharing those same experiences. And that's where our two worlds collide and why it's so beneficial for myself and for you to help break through some of those barriers that they're having in their homes. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go ahead and talk. The condition of living spaces impacts their relationships with their family, their spouse, and their partners. And the biggest struggles that I see every day is, my clients are saying, I'm struggling with everything. And they're not quite sure where and how it begins. And I always talk about, well, how is your day starting?
Yeah.
How is your day starting? You got up, you are then ready to start your day. But how did you actually start it? Did you open your closet? Did you get frustrated because you couldn't find something? Did you open your drawers and you are looking for the black pair of leggings that actually fit and look good and you feel comfortable and great in? Or you're back into the closet and you're ripping through things and you're just like, no, I have nothing to wear. And then all of a sudden your spouse or your partner is like, hey, how's it going? And my clients are already snapping at them. They're already frustrated. And it's just one of those things. It's just like, how did you start your day?
And the way you're describing it, we're already starting behind.
Exactly. And many of my clients just don't realize that's where they're starting. And maybe some of my clients have no problems getting dressed. Sometimes their closets are organized and their drawers, but it's now they've got the kids to go ahead and take care of. Mm-hmm. And those kids are, scrambling themselves, trying to get dressed, trying to come down and have breakfast, but the kitchen isn't organized or the pantry's not organized. And now you've got breakfast and now you've got lunches to prepare. And that chaotic day is for a lot of moms.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting here chuckling because the constant conversation in my house in the morning is like, where are the socks? Does anyone have a matching pair of socks? Did you get the socks? It's always socks. I don't know what that's about, but
right.
So I'm listening to you. And then to add to that, that is possibly the only interaction we're now going to have with our spouse or our kids until it's dark.
Right. And if you have already possibly snapped at your partner for no reason, you didn't mean to go ahead and do it, but you were both in the bedroom together. You're both trying to get dressed. You're both getting ready for the day, and you didn't even realize that you snapped at him or her, and you are now going on your day, but your partner remembers that. Hey, I just asked you a simple question, and you know what? I'm sorry you couldn't find the other black shoe that you were looking for, but I'm going to remember that you snapped at me for no reason. And that's kind of the build for the resentment. And then we'll go back to the kids trying to get ready and just like go look in the pantry for it, take it out of the dishwasher. And they're just little kids and they're trying to start their days. And the importance of having things organized is really important throughout the rest of our day.
Absolutely.
Are you seeing that with some of your clients when they are talking about the little nitpicky things and things like that?
Absolutely. Well, so first, I absolutely see it in my office. Sometimes we're talking about it from a bigger picture because it has built so much. Like that starts small, right? But by the time they either have had their appointment or by the time the fight has they can't even clock that it started at the beginning of the day. What it comes out as in session is usually it's resentment, it's imbalance, it's the failed division of labor, but I think it starts there. And John and Julie Gottman, they are, I don't know if you've ever, a lot of therapists talk about them a lot. They're marriage and family therapists. They have this love lab in Seattle. Like they've studied couples for over 30 years. And John Gottman he says he can predict divorce with like a 99% accuracy or something. They talk about the impact of interactions between a couple. And they talk about the importance of a ratio of positive and negative interactions. And so basically for every one negative interaction, you should have 5 positive. That's like their ideal goal. So just in the morning, the kind of chaotic morning you're describing, we've had pretty much all negative interactions and really no positive.
Right. And then that also is for our children. You know, even though you may have not said, you may have said a snap or you may have said something that you wish you hadn't, they're then going to school and starting their day off on the wrong foot as well sometimes and being like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember Mom told me to empty out the dishwasher and I didn't, and but she said something not so nice and I remembered that. And, sometimes they can, we don't know exactly if they're brushing it off or, it's just one of those things. It's just kind of like, okay, I'm just going to go. And sometimes, it carries with them as well. So we don't realize that.
Yeah. I mean, just an example for myself this morning. So you came into my house 2 weeks ago to show me what you do and show me the impact. And I have been benefiting from the impact literally every day. So this morning, you probably have headed off a fight, right? So this is a Monday morning. It snowed yesterday. There's a 2-hour delay. My day's still going on. And I was able to wake up and just go, what am I going to wear? And I could go into my closet and I could see everything clearly. And I was able to say, do I want to wear these jeans or those jeans? Do I want to wear this sweater, that sweater? And I was able to just kind of pull things effortlessly.
Right, right.
And so already I'm not having a battle with my closet, and I'm not then wearing that anger or that chip on my shoulder and then coming down to my family.
Right.
I was able to get dressed. I was able to come down. I was able to have an interaction, a very neutral or positive interaction with anybody in my kitchen. And I was able to go on with my day. But if my closet had looked differently, or if I wasn't able to find something specific, I would be coming down bitey.
Right.
Yes.
Right. And when my clients, I meet them for the first time, we kind of do a walkthrough and, they're like, I don't know where to start. It all needs to be done. And I'm like, we really need to start in your bedroom. This is where you start your day. This is where you end each night. It really you need to take out all of the extra, the frustrations in your closet, because it's a daily reminder of who you were. You were possibly in the corporate world, and now you're staying home and you're working in the home. And that's a time where you were once, but not again. But it's still a reminder. Take that reminder out. We need to take out all of our clothes that don't fit for right now. It's just another negative that's in your closet. And it's actually slowing you down so much. And again, when we had worked together, it was just kind of like, okay, what are you actually wearing? What do you want? And those questions really surprised you because you're like, oh, yeah, no, I really don't have, too much. And then it wasn't until I came in and being like, okay, do you actually really wear this? Yeah, no, I don't wear this. And, we went through piece by piece. And like you just said, it was so much calmer trying to go ahead and get dressed.
Yes, and not even to make this an ad for you because it's going to sound like an ad for you, right? So yay for you, but please go see Carrie. Most women are the ones battling the organization, right? Like they're the ones they're the ones doing it, and so our mental load is shot. So to sit there by yourself and be like, is my kid going to wear this? Should I get rid of it? What if they need it at Christmas time? Is a lot. So it's really nice to have another person to come in and kind of hold your hand a little bit and like almost like an organizational parent. Like you came in and you kind of like cleared the cobwebs for me a little bit, and I didn't have to do it by myself.
Right.
You kind of took the wheel, and then I was able to kind of get with the program. But I think a lot of women, they can't even do that because they're making decisions in all the other parts of life. And so by the time you get to your closet, your kid's closet, you just can't do it.
Right. And it's so overwhelming. But when you're doing it with somebody else who's actually doing the work with you, and then you're just like, oh, yeah, this isn't as bad as I thought it was.
Right.
And so just those little things, clearing out drawers, cleaning out your closet, just making it a little bit more streamlined for you to go ahead and start your day. Even in the kitchen, I walk into kitchens and, I'm just like, how are you even functioning? And the number of questions, we're not. And it's just kind of like, okay, are your kids doing things for themselves? Are you doing everything for them? Do we need to make a drawer so they could get their own cereal, in the morning? Is it something they can get their own cups? Because otherwise you're doing everything for everyone at this moment. And if you're not starting off on the right foot, just getting dressed, then that's where we need to go ahead and, start with, cleaning out closets, drawers, doing that kitchen. So at least start of your day is working on the right foot.
I think it can be such a positive domino effect.
Yes.
Because like I said, I already painted the picture of my day. But after you came and I understood it, I'm then relaying to my husband where I'm like, I'm going to do this for you. Like, I now know what to do. Carrie taught me what to do. I'm like, one of these mornings, we're going to kick the kids out. And we're going to get the wooden hangers and we're going to do all this. Because now it's like a gift I want to give somebody else. It's a gift I want to give my kids.
Right.
And if I can't do it by a certain time, I'm just going to call you. But but I think my couples, by the time they see me, they're bigger issues, but they're not able to kind of break it down and see where it started.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like bigger. It's just I'm shouldering X responsibilities by myself, or she doesn't understand the stress in my day. And everything's just so much bigger and happening so quickly that they can't slow it down, break it down, and kind of see like one little area where they could start.
Right.
Which could then set a totally different path for the day or just for the month. Honestly.
Exactly. So the other thing is I work with a lot of business owners, and they will say, because I'm either in their homes or I'm at their place of business, and just like, hey, how was your day? And they're just kind of like, well, one of my employees came in and they just snapped at me for no reason. I couldn't figure out why. And I was just like, have you ever thought about how they started their day?
Yeah.
Did they start their day and they woke up and everything went fine? Or did they start their day in frustration? And sometimes, yes, you don't know. And sometimes it's just kind of like, just give them a little grace, because for a lot of people, it's that morning chaos. And sometimes, yes, they do bring it into the workplace and snapping at a coworker, something like that. And people just don't realize it really kind of starts on.
Yeah. As you did your intro, I totally forgot. You brought me back. One of my first jobs as a social worker was I did in-home social work, which means I was a little bit of you, where I'd walk into someone's home and I would really get a greater scope of someone's life. And so if I was in there for parenting purposes of helping somebody, develop a better relationship with their child or whatever was going on with their life, I also saw what their home looked like. And sometimes whatever my plan was, I had to scrap that because we had to start with their environment.
Right.
Because, I just think of any of my grad school classes where, they teach you can't do anything kind of bigger or like more philosophical if you don't know your basic security. So that's like, where am I going to sleep tonight? Where am I going to get my food? And I also think that has to do with your environment.
Yes, yes. And then let's go ahead and talk about, okay, so either, the kids are off to work or off to school, your spouse or your partner also to work, you're then going either to work outside the home or inside the home. But then it's the chaos of everybody's coming home, and now we've got 5 different things. We've got homework, we've got sports, we've got ballet, and those things are also a multitude of the importance of being organized. Okay,
oh my gosh, yes.
Where is all of our soccer cleats? Where is all of our lacrosse balls and sticks?
Yes.
And you're just kind of like, it all adds up.
Yes.
And who does it really fall onto? Unfortunately, it's moms most of the times that are, okay, Mom, now we've got to go everywhere. We've got to, and now you've got to keep everything organized.
Right. Mom, where's my mouth guard? Where are my cleats?
Right.
Yeah.
Mom is the keeper of pretty much a lot of things.
Yeah.
And it's so important to be organized with it all because it's also then going to cause stress.
Yeah.
Which is going to cause our cortisol levels to go up.
Oh, absolutely. And then, what is that interaction like in the car ride from finding these things and then getting to the sport or coming home from the sport and now meeting the rest of your family?
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's, okay, let's start. We're back in the kitchen again. Now it's time for dinner. And, if the kitchen is not organized, again, I'll walk into pantries and I'll, start, and I'm like, oh, so who left the empty box of, pasta in the pantry?
Right.
And it's just kind of like the frustration of, why didn't somebody just throw it away? Why did they place it back?
I hate the empty boxes. That's like a big pet peeve of mine.
So do I. I hate any kind of packaging. The single serve, get it out there because you're just playing a guessing game. Are there 4, in the box? Is it 0? Is it, and I'm just kind of like, yeah. So you don't realize that moms are really juggling everything from the moment they, wake up in the morning to the time they're either going out the door to work or coming back and getting the kids. And it really, it weighs heavy on them. And it's stressful and mentally stressful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And again, using kind of my own life here, thank God for our activity bin. Like, 2 years ago, I got the idea to just order something from Amazon where it's kind of our catch-all system. I don't know how you would grade that idea, but that's where we keep the field
hockey
sticks.
Does it work for you?
For the most part, yes.
Then that works.
Actually, it does work as long as you put the things back in the activity bin, which I would give us like a B+. So yesterday we had multiple activities on a Sunday where we were just going to be out of the house going from one to the other. And as I'm finishing getting ready, I'm able to text my husband and say, we need blank, we need the cleats, we need the shin guards, we need the water bottle. And he's able to know where they are. He's not texting me back saying, where are these things? I'm like, everything should be in the activity bin. And if not, then maybe it's his car. But for the most part, I did not get a text back going, where's this, where's that? So that can also help with not just the mental load, but just like the division between two partners.
Right.
Because then there's a little bit more of like a shared mental load happening because we know where the bin is.
Right. Is that bin labeled?
No, because I'll have to send you a picture. It's like a big metal crate. Like it's
okay.
Do you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
a big metal crate with all the basketballs and the sticks and whatnot. So
Gotcha.
it doesn't really need a.
Gotcha.
It's pretty obvious what it is.
I find my clients, again, mostly women, because that is, those who are calling and saying, hey, you know what, I need help. Their biggest thing is, they say to me is, Carrie, I used to be so organized. and I don't know what happened. And I share with them all the time. I know what happened. I really do. You were just taking care of you. You were, in college, you're, out, and you just had to worry about you and your belongings and your items. So it was okay. Maybe, you knew exactly where everything was and you were nice and tidy. And then you got married, or now you have a partner, and now your things and their things are together. And sometimes it's, okay, well, don't worry. I'm just going to leave this here. Honey, don't worry. I will go ahead and, take care of it for you. I'll put it away. Just not even thinking about it, just because it's just the two of you. You don't want things out. You want, to say, have a nice, tidy home. And then you welcome children. And now it's yourself and your things, and it's your partner, and now it's a child or two or three, and now all of a sudden, now you're the keeper of everyone's things, and it just explodes, and then they're just like, I don't have any more and I'm just gonna let it go.
It's like you're juggling, you're just catching balls, you're just catching everything that comes out of the air when you bring on more people.
Right.
I always tell clients, imagine your brain is like a platter, and think of like what was just on this platter before you got married or had a house and kids, and just imagine every time you reach a certain milestone, you're adding more onto this plate or this platter, and eventually you're out of room. Like the platter doesn't get bigger, there's just more stuff on your platter.
Right.
So it's the kids, it's the activities, it's your job or your business, it's a home, it's aging parents. So all these things just take up room with your brain's not growing. So so things do just naturally spill over. Some things got to give. And so, it would make sense.
And most of the times, unfortunately, it's our homes.
It's our home. Absolutely.
Because we can shut the door. We could go ahead and close the closet. We can go ahead and, put things in the attic, and we can put things in, we can close it away, and then we'll deal with it at another time. And then finally it is until I get the call or I get the email and being like, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
My home is enclosing on me.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you notice, is there a pattern with when people kind of break and call you, like, or does it vary? Like, is it usually like a DEFCON 5 situation, or are people, like, what's the status of someone's home usually that they're calling you? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it usually a crisis, or is it someone just kind of being like, I've had enough, I just kind of want to declutter?
It's it's a combination of everything.
Okay.
Before we started recording, I was telling you about my client, sends me a text message and being like, okay, the wheels have fallen off the bus. And that's, I need you now.
Like people were in distress.
People
because
are
of the
in
state
distress.
Of the home. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'm there for you, or a lot of times being like, Carrie, we have the kitchen, we just moved, and the movers unpack things, and I can't find anything. So I need a new setup. This isn't working for us. And then a lot of other times it's just being like, okay, Carrie, I've seen your work. You were referred. Had fear, and I was embarrassed by the way that my home currently is, and I need help. So I get everything from, little spaces to big spaces to, the wheels have fallen off the bus. But it's not until, I always tell my clients, the good news is the first thing you did was call.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because I was already in your closet. How did you feel, with a stranger coming in?
This is where I think our jobs are so similar, because just how you're describing the level at which when people call you or what they're saying, I'm like, I mean, same over here. That's what I get from people. But for you in my closet, there's a moment of vulnerability where you're just like, well, she's here, it's happening, and what level am I compared to, like, the other closets that she has been in? You know what I mean? Like, how bad is it? What is she thinking? So there's a moment of like exposure and vulnerability, but if you can, again, just like therapy, if you can kind of just like sit with that and just own that, like sometimes it's okay to be uncomfortable. And so I was a little uncomfortable, but I was trusting the process, and I'm so glad I did. And again, it's just like therapy where you're sitting across from a stranger and you're like, I can't believe I'm telling this person very personal details
Right.
about my life, but I'm going to hope and trust that this is going to take me somewhere.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, that was my experience of like, for a moment, it was just like, okay, well, just scary, but nothing about you, right? It was all my stuff.
Right.
It was my things, my feelings. But again, you just push through if you can.
Right. And it gets done.
And it gets done. And then I think of all the spaces that I'd love to bring you in to do.
All right. So the other thing with all of that, so we start our morning off on the wrong foot. We are then, pushing not even kind of pushing, but we don't realize what our little snaps and our little, little bites are doing to our relationships with our family, with our coworkers, with people that we are out, in public every day. I mean, you and I have seen plenty of, little snippets on TikTok or Instagram, and people, just going, off on people for, really no reason at all. And it's really just, where is that all stemming from? We have to realize is that we're juggling everything, and that it's affecting all of our relationships.
Absolutely. It goes back to what I was saying about the positive and the negative interactions, right? And there's all these factors at play that we don't realize that are impacting that.
Right, right. So we've started our morning off on the wrong foot. We have then carried that through the rest of the day.
Right. And while we're apart from our partner and our kids, how are we thinking about them, and how are they thinking about us?
Right.
Based on previous encounters.
Right. And then now it's time to go back to our sanctuary, our bedroom, where unfortunately both of you have started off on that wrong foot.
Yeah.
And then how does that lead into being able to relax, being able to unwind for the rest of the day, especially if your bedroom looks chaotic? There is then piles of laundry all over the bed, or it's sitting on, in baskets all over the floor, or there's art projects that can't be let go, but mom's going to go ahead and hold on to them, forever. And now you're basically walking back into that chaos with your spouse or partner. And, again, my clients are telling me, unfortunately, this is just not the way that I envisioned, this space, and it's hurting our relationship. What can we do? And then, unfortunately, where does that also lead to? It leads to, I'm exhausted at the end of the day because I haven't had help. I'm exhausted because I've had so much on my plate. And the last thing I want to do is,
Be touched.
And, where does that, fall into place?
Oh my gosh. And to add to the exhaustion, the overwhelm. So you're describing a certain bedroom. If there's laundry everywhere or art projects everywhere, there's an overwhelm to it. And so the last thing you want to do when you're kind of like, when your plate is full and you're stressed out, is the idea of somebody wanting anything else from you.
Right.
So this is one of my favorite topics, because from day one, when I started working with couples ages ago, and I had mentors and supervisors, and we would talk about all the all the little nooks and crannies of working with a couple and what you want to know about them as you kind of build this understanding of their dynamic and how you want to solve some of their problems or help them solve their problems. The number one thing when it came to intimacy with a couple is, if especially if it's just not happening, there's like zero intimacy. The number one thing is, okay, paint me a picture of your bedroom. What is your bedroom? Tell me what it looks like. And do you like it? Who in this relationship, who likes it? Who doesn't like it? Is there a can of paint sitting in the corner because somebody needs to paint
Seen
a wall?
that before.
I
Yes.
bet you have. Is
Paint
there
swatches. Yes.
Yeah.
Can't figure out which color.
stealing
Just leave it all
pics
there.
not done
Yes,
right on the
yes.
walls? So what is your bedroom? And I'm so glad I learned to ask those questions, and I still do. If I didn't, no one would tell me about their bedroom, and I wouldn't understand the level of the impact.
Right. And I'm walking into it.
Yeah.
Every day. And I'm like, I don't judge anyone to whatever, needs to, what's happening in that space. My concern is let's make it better. Let's make it better for yourself, for your partner, for you. And you just need that escape. How can you escape with your partner when you have this going on?
Right. When you walk into multiple undone projects.
Right.
Very often a couple will sit in my office, and I'm going to be very stereotypical. Okay. So man and woman sits in my office, man saying, we're not intimate enough. We don't have enough time for each other. She's not interested. And very often the man is not understanding, and until I kind of interject, the man's not understanding that there's all these other factors at play for most women. A lot of men, not all men, but a lot of men can compartmentalize. So they can kind of bypass the laundry on the bed. They can bypass even the fight that was had 2 hours ago. And for women, there are so many other factors that that are turn-offs and turn-ons for them. And so that's me kind of slowing a couple down and, one, asking about their bedroom, two, asking what are your turn-ons and your turn-offs. Emily Nagoski, she's a certified sex therapist like myself. She wrote a fantastic book. She refers to them as gas and brakes. What are your gas? What are your brakes? And for some reason, I find that kind of easier terminology for people to kind of identify, because I think when we say turn-ons and offs, people immediately think of all just physical, more sexy things, as opposed to laundry in the bed. Mm-hmm. But if we talk about gas and brakes, the things that accelerate, the things that decelerate us, that there's more color to their answers. So, yeah, I think this is always an important thing to talk about with people.
And I think just when people call, they're embarrassed. Yeah. They are just like, oh, somebody's going to come and judge me. No, I'm not going to judge you. You're not judging people. We're just together. We're trying to help people. I'm in their home. You're outside of their home.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying to basically say if everybody has the same goal, if we're trying to work on our relationship and our intimacy, and you're getting the blueprint right now. If your wife is saying the state of our room stresses me out, or I have too much laundry to do, and the last thing I want to do is something else from somebody. I don't want any other tasks. Take that as a tip. Join in on getting some of these things done. You can kind of anticipate some of the obstacles to the intimacy.
Right. Okay. So again, kind of recap, we're going to start in our bedroom because that should be our sanctuary.
It's where we start and we stop, right?
Start and stop each day.
Yeah.
So decluttering the clothes, decluttering the drawers, streamlining how you start your day. Mm-hmm. Let's try to take out the frustration before it even happens again. The importance of, just taking out maybe 12 pairs of leggings that don't fit anymore, or we're not wearing, or, the T-shirts, things like that. Yeah. So, and then, the kitchen. The kitchen is the hub. That is the most used space in our daily lives. Yeah. And, declutter it, organizing it, the power of a label, throwing labels on either drawers. Okay, guys, this is where the silverware goes. This is where, we're doing the pantry. This is where mom finds these things, So if I ask you, let's go ahead and you can help me. I actually had a client and she was like, I don't know why, my kids can't help me keep things organized in the kitchen. And I'm like, well, did you teach them? Did you teach them? Did you show them? Did you give them a tutorial of this is where our silverware drawer is? This is where I go ahead and keep the plates. Are they out of their reach? Do we need to lower it down? I've changed a lot of, clients' lives just by lowering all of the plates and the cups so their children could do things for themselves.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
And, because otherwise it's, Mom, I need this. Mom, I need this. Or Dad, I need this. And I was just kind of like, you know what? We really can have them do things if we just go ahead and let them. Same thing. We were talking about kids doing their own laundry. If the kids can operate an iPad or, they can certainly push a button. I actually have my washer and dryer labeled when the kids were learning how to do their laundry. Yes. Those washer.
I'm like, tell me, what's on the label? What am I labeling
that
today?
label says washer, so they know it's wet. Dryer is dry. And and I keep them on the simple, schedule. But I started them off small. Bring your clothes down. Put it in the washer. Then take it out. Put them in the dryer. That's all they had to do for the very long time. And then they're like getting up. I'm like, okay, now you can put it in. Now you can reach the soap. Put the soap in. Just baby steps. Okay. So then they actually learn. And now, 18-year-old twins do their laundry. Have been doing their laundry for years because I taught them. And it was, okay, this is how we're doing things now.
I'm just sitting here. I'm like, if my 12-year-old could just do even one load of laundry a week or half his laundry, I would be a game changer.
We've got to get these kids to pitch in.
Yeah.
Parents, moms are doing so much. I walk in, I'm just like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this for your children? Your children are more than capable of doing more than you actually think they can do. If you just say, I need this done. And again, it's the importance of, okay, so Carrie, now I've got organized. Now, how do I bring everybody in? You start small. You say, okay, I've done the kitchen. I've decluttered. I've organized it. Give them all a tutorial of where everything is. Start with the laundry room. This is the laundry detergent we use. This is where we keep things. It's really just kind of showing people and telling them, why am I doing this? Why did I organize? Why did I declutter? Is because it affects me physically. It affects me emotionally.
It really does. I again, as someone who used you for 1 hour, which is so helpful because I think a lot of people don't even realize it, though. Like maybe some people that are calling you at like the DEFCON 5 place, they know it's affecting them in all of those ways. But I think someone like myself, where I'm like kind of just getting by, like my place isn't in a terrible state, but it's not in the greatest, most organized, most streamlined state. I'm getting by, and it's not. It's almost sneaky. I'm not until I see the other way to live. I'm not realizing how much it's like seeping in.
I always tell people is that clutter causes the emotional stress and physical stress. And you don't realize it until it's gone.
Until it's gone. That was exactly my experience.
And you're just kind of like, oh, wow, because I will get clients that are like, I want to burn my house down and start all over again.
Yeah.
I want it to look the way it looked when I bought the house. This is not what I envisioned when we moved in here 5 years ago.
Or like just think of like January 1st, a green drop, or at like Goodwill on January 2nd, right? All the bags of crap that people they just want to get rid of half their crap, and they think that's going to be the solution. And it's a little bit, but I'm sure you would say there's more to that.
There's more fine tuning. I mean, I walked in, I was working with a client the other week, and we pulled out 21 pairs of socks. And I'm just kind of like, now that's not stressful, is it? And I'm like, how many are you actually wearing? There is only 7 days a week. You only have 2 pair. You only have 2 feet.
Yeah.
Tell me why we have 21 pairs of socks. Well, yeah, no, I know I'm wearing. I'm like, she's like, they just accumulated. How did they accumulate? I don't know. Well, I do. You went ahead and, you bought 6 and then you kept the old ones. If we're bringing anything into our lives, we need to do the same when it goes out. If you're
Right.
bringing in a pack of 6 pairs of socks, take out 6.
Right.
If you are, buying a pair of boots for a reason, you have to ask yourself, okay, do I really need to keep the other pair of boots that I'm no longer using, wanting? Yeah. Or, just like, no. That's where it starts. I'm just going to shove it in the closet. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to shove it in a drawer. I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
A deal later is now, it's stress.
Well, I'm just thinking of my morning yesterday. I have a 12-year-old and a 7-year-old, so snow days are still a big deal. Mm-hmm. We were not prepared. We have bins and all that, right? But yesterday was a little stressful as we start to pull everything out, and we're like, why do we have 5 gloves that don't have friends? We had literally 5 pairs of gloves. Long story about we've been using them throughout the past couple of weeks, so I think some got lost. But we laid them all out, and we were like, we have 48 hours or like a week to find their friends, and if we can't find a pair, these things are going. But yesterday could have been a little more streamlined, and our kids could have been out in the snow a little bit faster with less stressed parents if we had certain systems in place a little bit more with the winter stuff. Right. It's like a perfect. It sucked up time, to be honest.
And again, it's always going to come back to, there's 2 of us, 2 adults in the family. And like you said, doing that partnership.
Yes.
The roles that we take and, and explaining to your partner, hey, you know what? This is really stressful.
Yeah.
Walking into, this space or our home is really stressful. Here's what I want. I really want to burn it down. Yeah. I want to have a flood. So it all has to go. And
you're absolutely right, because it was very helpful yesterday knowing my husband was standing right next to me, experiencing the same frustrations and the same problems as me, where we're like, okay, why do we have these many unmatched gloves? And okay, we have snow bibs that are too small. Like he saw the problem too and knew there had to be a solution. If he had been absent and not shouldering that with me, there's just so much trickle that can happen from questioning me, why am I buying new stuff? And I'm saying, well, because we don't have any bibs. You don't know we don't have any snow bibs. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. So there's so many there's so many reasons why it helps to have somebody as invested as you and in the know with you.
Well, and that's the other thing is that, I will see a lot of excess of things, and, there's 10 tubes of toothpaste. Why do we have 10 tubes of toothpaste? Well, because I knew I bought it and I couldn't remember where I put it, and so now I bought more. And that is also then it accumulates month after month, year after year, and now you've got a financial strain between, your family. And you're just like, why are our bills so high? Well, are we overbuying? Because we put things in. That's a frustration as well with clients.
It's like a Band-Aid.
Right.
There's the people that very much know that the state of their home is at a major level. Like it's very much impacting them. And then there's probably a lot more of us, like myself, right, that is just kind of skirting by and would like a better system but doesn't know really how much that could benefit us. I think of clients coming in where it's the same thing, and I think it's often about like the devil like they'll say, well, this relationship or how my life is at this time, it's not great, but it's not bad, and I just think often about it's like the devil there's something scarier about the other option, which could be so much better, but because it's so foreign to them, it's just very. It's like free falling or something. It's very scary to them.
Right. And I have got clients who are like, Carrie, I need to organize everything, but, my partner could care less. Mm-hmm. And, they just want to throw everything away. Well, yeah, I can see that because they're walking into it. And it always goes back is that clutter causes that emotional, stress. Yeah. And again, if you've got one partner who's walking into it, or now you've got two partners. Both partners are walking into emotional and physical stress every day, and how that works and puts strains on your relationship.
Sure. Yeah.
And then, like you said, they're either calling me at the brink of when things are happening. So when you're working with your clients and you talk about their homes, what advice can you give them?
Ooh. Can you be more specific?
When they're saying, okay, our struggles are in our home,
Right.
do you ask them, have you thought about hiring a professional organizer? Have you thought about, because a lot of times it's okay to have a house cleaner. And I, of course, am not a house cleaner. I am,
Right.
helping just at that immediate moment to kind of declutter, organize that space. Do we talk about hiring a professional organizer?
Yes, we do. I mean, one, I'm a huge advocate of professional help in all the areas, right? So whether that's a house cleaner, and then I'm pausing because I always warn my clients where I'm like, I'm aware none of us have a money tree. So I almost hate when I have to recommend things that cost more money, but also, in this world of working parents and busy lives, like a lot of times outsourcing is the key, especially when we've already proven we can't do it ourselves at this point.
Right.
Like we're kind of past that option, right? So it really depends on what I've assessed so far. So first I'm like, tell me about the state of your home. What is giving you distress about it? Where are the fights? Where's the pain? And then depending on that, very often it's easier for me, and I'm rethinking it now. It's easier for me to be like, well, do you have a cleaning lady? Like, tell me about your cleaning. I think that's where most couples get stuck. It's the level of clean in their house that is the most discussed in my room with couples. But then there are the couples where they start to talk about certain levels of clutter or disorganization. And that's where I'm asking about their systems. And then depending on that, I'm like, clearly what you're doing isn't working. So what are you willing to do? But also, though, this working with you recently and having this conversation, I honestly see myself recommending it a lot more. It just has me rethinking kind of the whole picture.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And I'm not just saying that.
No.
I'm really
but I
not.
think it's one of those things is that, professionals in the field, if they haven't experienced it themselves, I think it's one thing in being like, okay, I see the benefits of it. A lot of people say, I have a therapist, they're wonderful, they're amazing, and now I need somebody for my home. I always like to say, I'm a therapist for your home.
Yeah.
I'm a therapist for your things.
100% you are. Yeah. I prefer organizational parent, but I like therapists too.
I've been called body double. I've been called,
funny.
a fairy godmother. It really doesn't. It all works.
A second wife, which is so offensive, but also that's what it is.
I know. It's fine. It's fine. All right. So if couples would like to go ahead and reach out to you, how do they go ahead and contact you?
They can go to my website. It's amywoodlcsw.com. I'm also on Instagram. I think my handle is at AimeyLCSW. And you can find my information on my website, as well as I do have an associate, marriage and family therapist, Nikki McNamara. She's on there too, and we do very similar specialties, and
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. And if any of your clients need a professional organizer, they can find me on Instagram, Carrie's Essentials. I also have a Facebook group called Getting Organized on the Main Line, where it's kind of a live Pinterest page where you can post things.
Know that.
Yes.
I will be joining it.
Yes. And then, of course, my website, www.carriesessentialservices.com. So thank you again so much for being a guest on Clarity and Order, the Carrie Kaufman Way.
Thank you so much, Carrie. This was great.
Thank you.